friends and family out there. This is your virtual cruise host, Jason, with another all access pass from home. And today I am sitting down with an absolute legend. She is a producer. She is a radio, a television host, an award winner, and an author. She's done cooking in the kitchen. You name it, she has done it. She is the key to all your country stars, the fabulous Lorianne Crook. How are you, my dear?
I am wonderful. This is so much fun to be able to talk to you and see you. Why haven't we done this before?
I don't know why this is the first time we've gotten to this. I figure, but we're here now, most importantly.
Yay.
Yeah.
I miss you. I do. I miss you when I don't see you.
I know. I miss you. I say this, we have a lot of people watching that are from the Country Music Cruise, but we have folks watching that are from other cruises that Star Vista Live does. For those people that are watching that are not familiar with the Country Music Cruise, you are, of course, the heartbeat. You are the spine of the Country Music Cruise. You are the main personality and host for that cruise. Tell us how you became the host for the Country Music Cruise.
I got a phone call even before the first Country Music Cruise launched. Got a wonderful phone call from our friends Mike Robertson, Mike Jason, that a lot of the cruisers know because they're on board every year. And they said they had this idea and they were going to do a Country Music Cruise and asked if I would host it. It took me about 2 seconds to say yes. Yes, when I will be there, get on board, girl. And it has been, and I say it every year, but it is absolutely the truth. I say it on my show all year long. I look forward to it. It is the most fun I have all year. I really, a lot of great and unique things go on in Nashville, but there is nothing else in the world like the Country Music Cruise. I look forward to it every year.
It's interesting because Star Vista does anywhere between 6 and 8 different themes, different cruises throughout the year, depending on the year and the theme. And some are being worked on and developed, and others have been tried and shelved and will be brought back and yada, yada. But country music has been there from the beginning as one of the most popular. And it is you say it every year on board, and I couldn't echo it more. It really is, as much as any of the cruises can say, it's a family. That Country Music Cruise has a group of people that is together, and it's almost the same group every year.
Mm-hmm. It is such an easy atmosphere. And I'll give you a quick example of just a couple of months ago on our Country Music Cruise. One night I was just walking through the hallways because I was coming from one event and was getting ready to go to another event. And this lovely lady passed me and she had a glass of white wine. And we were saying hello. And I said, "Oh man, that looks so good." And she said, "Well, here, have it." I said, "No, I was not begging for your wine. I was just saying it looks good." She insisted. She goes, "You take this. My husband will bring me another one." It's just so much fun. So
yeah,
I took her glass of wine.
As you do, and you probably deserved it. You work exceptionally hard on those cruises. We run you around quite a bit.
Well, same for you. My goodness sakes, we're tag teaming, running from one place to another, but isn't it the most fun?
It really is. It's we joke, but now for you, it's been your life for a long time. For me, I'm not the celebrity version of the host. Obviously, I'm the tie that binds for all of our cruises, and I try to be the glue in the middle that keeps the events going. Because you, as the celebrity host, can only be so many places. Tony Cornelius on our Soul Train cruise, Jerry Blavat on the other cruises, Peter Asher. You guys can only be so many places. So I try to be everywhere to be that tie, if you will. But it's really a fascinating lifestyle from someone that doesn't necessarily come from the celebrity world. It's surreal at times to recognize that we get to do this.
I know. Listen, you know a lot. Over the years, these stars, you're friends with them as well. It is surreal, but the coolest thing about country music is that it really is a lifestyle. And anybody from around the country or around the world can live and enjoy that country lifestyle on any level they want to. I kind of feel like I come from the pop and rock world as a teenager. I really got into country more around high school and college. And if with the pop world, you sort of feel like the stars are, somewhere in another universe.
They're
And
idols. They're untouchable.
yes, and that you could never be in their world, which circles back around to the country music cruise.
Yeah.
It puts you right in their world, and you realize that it's, as you said, it's all one big family and one
Yeah.
community that does not exclude anybody. If you want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
man, you can be.
It is pretty neat in that way. So if you don't mind, you just said something. I'd like to go back a couple of years. Let's talk about a very young Lorianne as she's figuring out her way in the world. You said you're into pop and rock in the beginning, but then you get into country a little bit later. How do you progress your musical taste into country from other styles?
Oh, interesting question. And I have just two words for you: Charlie Daniels. When I heard Charlie Daniels
Charlie's great.
CDB, and it was the late 70s, I went absolutely nuts because he was that bridge. He was the country rock dude.
Yeah.
So he had that same energy, but it was the country vibe. And I thought,
Yeah.
I need to hear more of this and see where this is coming from. That's how I got into Leonard Skinner, Marshall
Little-
Tucker Band, just on and on and on. Then started getting into the individual artists, listening to George Jones, Waylon Jennings. Oh my gosh, ended up being one of my best friends. Hank Jr. now. Yeah, I like the Bad
Yeah.
Boys.
I was gonna say you sound like you're trending a little bit on the Southern rock bad boy tip there.
I don't know
I've
why.
always known that about you, Lorianne, since the
Well,
day I
and
met you.
this was a great concern to my parents.
I can imagine. I can imagine just polite young Lorianne, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. So even though I have sort of this goody two shoes image, because I don't do bad things, I just like
in public.
raw music.
So who else was there? Charlie Daniels, you said opened the door, and then you named some others. Waylon and some, Skinnerd and these guys. Who, if you look back on it, was it? Charlie Daniels that you still look back on as was that your guy or your
That's my
person?
guy.
I guess.
It still is. And I think it was, I'm trying to think, it might have been, time goes so fast.
Amazing, isn't it?
It might have been a year and a half or 2 years ago now that I did an interview with him. He had put another new album out, and I got to do an interview with him. And he's just the funniest, sharpest, most interesting guy to be around. We could have talked forever.
Everyone's just speaks so incredibly highly of him as a person. As an artist, obviously, but
Yeah, he's a gentleman, and he
yeah,
does have his political opinions, and he puts those
that's
online.
fine.
And he will tell you exactly what he thinks about anything and everything. He stands up for his opinions and the way he wants to live.
And I think that's okay. I think that too often we hide behind the face, right? We do the polite neighbor thing, which is great. We all should be the polite neighbor, but I feel like it's always tricky when you find something out about somebody as opposed to them just saying, this is who I am, and you can choose to love me or hate me or get along with me or not, or listen to me or not, and that's fine. That's your choice. A lot of people hide behind the political aspect, not using that term lightly, but they play the game of everybody love me, and then you find out who they are. Like, wait.
That's right. And isn't that why we love country music? Seriously,
I tell you,
I don't think there is any way for an artist to be meaningful and important in country music unless you know who they are.
Yeah.
And that's what country music is all about. They put who they are and what they think into their music. And to me, that's why it's so fascinating, because they bring to light things that all of us feel and we've all been through, and can in so many ways put a different spin on it. With country music, you just never feel like you're alone. It's somebody else.
Yeah.
Whether you're happy and in love, or whether you're going through some tough times like a lot of us are now, a lot of people in the world are, you
Amen.
just feel like, hey, somebody's been there and there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you think that's what makes country music as popular as it is
Oh, yeah.
because it's the relatability?
Absolutely. And the fearlessness about it. The fearlessness. There are some people, Blake Shelton for one,
Hmm.
who might say something in a song or say something in an interview that rubs some people the wrong way,
Hmm.
but at least he's being honest.
Hmm.
And dang it, that's what we need in the world, right? A little transparency, a little honesty.
Amen. Amen. And a loaded question for you, somewhat loaded here. Country music has gone through a lot of iterations, if you will, from what's considered classic country. Some people would call it twangy country, or the that era of country, to the, as you like to refer to it, the platinum era of country, as you've called it before, into current country, which is much more crossover in general. Give us a little bit of your thoughts on how it's progressed.
Oh boy, I tell you, this happened early, early, early in my career in country music. When I first started doing television shows and interviews with the country stars, I was privileged to be able to go backstage at the Opry and into the dressing room of Mr. George Jones.
Oh, wow.
And we were in there with cameras and had a talk. And even at that time, should I even say, this was more than 30 years ago, sir.
Listen, no one cares nowadays.
Oh, this is more than 30 years ago. At that time, there was a lot of crossover going on in
Yeah.
country. So I asked Mr. Jones the question about, is country music straying from its tradition, from its soul, from its roots? And I don't think I asked it quite that dramatically.
That eloquently, yeah.
I know. But he just leaned over and he said, "Darling," he always called me darling. He goes, "Darling, here's the thing about country music. It ain't never gonna change." He said, and I'll paraphrase here, and I just love and I live by what he said. I love what he said. He said, country music will always, with the influx of new artists, it will always sort of stray. It will it will evolve into certain things, but he says it will always eventually come back to that core. And he says there's nothing wrong with that. He refused, which I think was, and Vince Gill is this way, Larry Gatlin is this way. They refuse to put down the more pop oriented country artists. They're saying, hey, it's all country music. It's just different versions of
Yeah.
it. But George Jones is right. He will be right forever. There is a core to country music that will always be there. Nobody can change it. You can't kill it. It's not going to go away. It's something we can always depend on, which I think is another reason why it's so popular, because
Amen.
there aren't that many things in life that you can count on to 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 be there and to stay the same for you, that's familiar and
Yeah.
recognizable. But country music, even in all its forms, is exactly what George Jones described.
That's wonderful, and I appreciate you sharing that. And as you've grown with country music, and as you said, that was years ago, uh, who have you started with Charlie Daniels and those boys. Where have you progressed musically in terms of who you enjoy? Are there current artists you do enjoy? Do you find yourself trending towards that 90s era or the earlier era, or where does your heart lie?
Wow, that is such a good question. I will tell you, I do love the 90s country music because I did live in that era.
Your
And
platinum era, right?
that platinum era, yeah, and all those stars. We've all grown up together in the business,
Sure.
so we're like a little core family, when we see each other. But I have to tell you, I love 50s country. I love bluegrass. I I play bluegrass. A friend of mine actually runs the bluegrass category on Sirius XM. He's just fantastic, and he just won a big award, by the way. But
Nice.
he programs all of that bluegrass, and I listen to that all the time. It is fantastic.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
I love all eras. I love the country pop. Even that, this is kind of controversial, but as Blake Shelton and Luke Bryan and Florida Georgia Line have come along the past
Hmm.
several years. somebody coined the term, some writer, oh, this is bro country. It's all
Yeah.
about, in your truck and going fishing,
Yeah.
little girls in their shorts and their tight t-shirts and all that. But I like that stuff. I mean, I like it all. I will tell you really honestly, there isn't any era or any subgenre of country music that I don't really love. I I should show you at some point. Upstairs in my house, I have an entire room, and I know we don't have CDs as much anymore because
They're
everything is
still
down
there.
and
Yeah.
streaming. This room, you cannot even walk into this room, or my wall of CDs will come tumbling down. I collect them all.
Do you have musical tastes outside of country?
You are asking the best questions. Goodness gracious.
I'm
Okay.
just curious. You're the face and voice. You are country music to a lot of people. So I'm just curious. I mean, a lot of people enjoy other music. I'm curious if you listen to things outside the genre.
Absolutely. And this may seem weird to you, but it's absolutely true. And I will tell you the reason for it. But I love to cook.
Yes.
When I cook, and my kitchen is right over there, when I cook, I don't know why I have to play opera. No, I do know why. But I don't know why I have to play it, but I know why I play it. My dad was an opera buff.
Opera.
So
Okay.
growing up, I listened to Luciano Pavarotti and every
Sure.
yes, artist that you could think of that was famous around the world. So there's something about opera and chopping and stirring that go together for me.
I'm envisioning an entire kitchen opera now with you mixing, and I just see drama as you make banana bread.
Exactly. And the most embarrassing thing is I actually try to sing with it.
That's not. You got to have that really huge vibrato that you could drive a truck through and really sing opera, right? That real broad.
Yeah, yeah, it's very scary.
Oh, that's wonderful. So your parents were into music too, then. So that kind of influenced it. But what was your mom into?
This will blow your mind. What year was this? I was just in elementary school, I think. I forget what years Johnny Cash, I think it was in the 60s, that he was doing his TV show for ABC, and he did it down at the Ryman.
Okay.
My mom packed us kids up and took us down to the Ryman, and I remember being up in the balcony, I guess more stage left in the balcony, watching the taping of a Johnny Cash show that aired on ABC.
How
They're
cool.
rerunning those now.
I know. I know.
So whenever I see that, the one that I was at was where Neil Diamond was one of the special guests, and so I remember that really well. And it blows my mind when I see that on TV, thinking I was a little girl up there in the balcony, never even thinking or imagining that one of these days I would know Johnny Cash. He would be on my shows. It's talk about surreal.
Yeah. If you don't mind me asking, at what point did you start to think about TV and radio and becoming a personality?
Right. I never did. I never did. I was at Vanderbilt University here. I graduated from Vanderbilt in foreign languages.
I was going to say, you got to talk about this a little bit because I was going to go here anyway. So
I know. In high school, I went to this enormous high school, McGavock High School here in Nashville.
In Nashville, yeah.
Yeah, and they
But
had.
you weren't born in Tennessee though, right?
No, I was born in Kansas,
Okay.
and we moved here. My dad was a chemist, and he got a job when I was about 4 or 5 years old. He got a job at the big DuPont facility
Yes.
just outside of Nashville, and so we all moved to Nashville when I was about 5 years old. So really love Kansas, and a lot of my relatives are still there, but this is my hometown where all my friends are and all my professional colleagues.
Sure. Well, you grew up there. You were raised
yeah.
there. I mean,
no, absolutely. So yeah, I was at Vanderbilt, studying foreign languages. In high school, that's why I brought up high school. They had really, strange things like you could study Russian language, or you could go to shop class and learn how to build an engine for a car. All kinds of interesting things that may be commonplace now, but it was very unusual then. So I jumped in and took Russian because my dad speaks German, my sister speaks German and Italian, and my brother speaks Spanish.
No pressure.
So that, little Lorraine, I call myself Lorraine.
Lorraine.
Little Lorraine had to do something. So started studying Russian, continued on because I loved it. And I thought maybe someday that I would work with the government of the United States and I would get to travel around and be an interpreter for the president or the vice president. So interestingly, I also studied Mandarin Chinese and graduated with my degree in both of those languages. But
are you still fluent?
I never thought I was that fluent. I could carry on a conversation,
In
but
both?
I've had people walk up to me because, we have a lot of people every June at CMA Music Fest who come from around the world. It's really fabulous. Yeah. Somebody from Russia will walk up to me and I just say, slow down.
Yeah, just big smile and nod. And yeah.
Take a breath. let me comprehend here. Yeah. But it is
2 words at a time, please.
Yeah, exactly. To be able to speak. But, interestingly, while I was in college, my parents made a good living, but they were by no means rich. Mm-hmm. So I got some scholarships, but still had to pay that college tuition. So I was waiting tables at nights and on weekends. And lo and behold, a baseball park opened in Nashville. It was minor league of the Cincinnati Reds. And they needed girls to walk around in shorts. Yeah, really. And sell programs. And
I'm looking up these photos as we speak.
They're out there. Oh my gosh. But that's one of the ways I made money. Well, it just happened out of the blue.
Yeah.
Channel 2 here, the local TV station, wanted to do some commercials to get people to come out to, let's say, free bat night for everybody 13 and under. And so they grabbed us girls who were selling the programs and had us do the commercials.
Shocker.
I've never been in front of a in my life. Yeah.
Bunch of beautiful girls in short shorts to sell things. Fascinating. Yeah.
I think they're still doing that these days.
I think that's marketing 101, is it not?
Right. So just to make a very long story short, from me doing those crazy little commercials locally, one of the photographers just told me he thought I was good and had I ever thought about being on TV? And I said no. But people kept coming to me saying, will you do this? Will you do that? And finally ended up getting my first television job in Wichita Falls, Texas. And it just went from there.
Wichita Falls. What was your first gig there in Wichita Falls?
Oh my gosh. I was so bad. I was a news reporter for KAUZ, Wichita Falls. And I'm standing in front of a burning building on a live shot going, as you can see behind me, the building is on fire.
Gesture.
As you can see behind me, the fire trucks have arrived. And all I could say was, as you could see
behind me.
Oh my word. So I have to, Lynn Walker, the news director there, and all the folks really took me under their wing and gave me some other ideas on what to do.
6 other words. Yeah. As you can see, yeah. Give me an introduction, please. Something.
I'm going to do, next cruise, this is what, as you can see behind me. Jason is
up next. Did you ever get to do the classic news? Yes, Lorianne. Yes, as you can see, it's
a million times.
It's my favorite thing, and it's on every TV show, on every news channel in the world. Is just that 5-second delay from studio to.
Oh, I know. Well,
Yes, yes.
can I tell you, hey, something I learned very quickly, the person on the other end of the earpiece that is
Yeah.
talking to you, that is a real talent. I've actually had to train some people to do this properly because you know when you're talking, they have to know right when you take a breath to go 2 minutes or wrap it now or whatever.
Yeah.
If they're talking over you while you are talking, you can't hear and understand. So those people on the other end of that earpiece have to be really great and know what they're doing. So I applaud all of them, all the producers
Absolutely.
that do that.
It's people don't understand. A lot of people do understand, but it's sometimes an on-air talent. You don't understand how many levels of input that on-air talent is getting. They've got an earpiece, they've got a screen in front of them that you can't see in front of the camera. They have a phone or a couple other things here that are binging and going off. And on-air talent is just trying to conduct. And all these people are wonderful. I'm not taking shots at producers or anything like that. Everyone's doing a great job, but there are 6 inputs.
Oh yeah, no, I've been on a live shot at the CMA Awards before where I'm interviewing somebody who just won. I have the producer in my ear telling me, okay, you've got 2 minutes. Then I have the producer who's on site with me telling me, hey, you got Keith Urban standing here. He's got to go. You better wrap it up now. And then, you know, you have somebody over here, like maybe a fan who's walking by going, Lorianne, Lorianne, you know,
Yeah.
lots of things going on. And you really do have to have a couple of, and you know this, a couple of different brains in
Yeah.
there listening to this, comprehending that, saying hello to this person. It's fun though to juggle all that.
Well, you conduct fabulous interviews, and I think something that is often to to be a great interview, to be the person doing the interview, conducting the interview, there are 2 trains of thought. There is listening to comprehend, and there's listening to respond. Some people, Lorianne, tell us about this. And as you're talking, all I'm doing is formulating my next question. So it doesn't matter where you go, and you tell me this wonderful personal story, and then I go, great, okay, so in Colorado in 77, tell me about that, right? And because I'm going there regardless.
Yeah.
And then there's the other type of interview, which is a conversational or a comprehension interview, where I'm listening to you and I'm going to go where you go. So Lorianne, tell me about this. Oh, wow, Russian. What got you into Russian, right? And we branch our interview wherever it goes. You just continue. You have an effortless way about you in conducting these interviews and making them feel and seem very, very personal. Is it a learned skill for you? Are you just truly being conversational? Because often it doesn't, I know you do your homework because every good interviewer does some homework. You have to do homework just in case. And 9 times out of 10, it's just in case you hit a lull. How is your process in terms of interviewing folks and making it so natural when you have, grab it, you got Keith Urban. Hey, how are you still managing that?
Right. Well, okay. It's really interesting because early on when I started doing interviews, and I would of course watch other people because I wanted to see what are they doing, how are they doing it. Something that I perceived a long time ago is exactly what you were talking about. I would see interviewers and they would have everything written out on a piece of paper, which is good. That's a good thing to have it there.
Absolutely.
Uh, but they would ask the question, and then as the person, and I've been on the other end of this when people interviewed me, and it's very unnerving. Somebody asks you a question, and then they go,
yeah.
They're looking at the next thing, and they're not even listening to what you're saying.
They give you this. They give you the.
Yeah, it just seemed very awkward to me.
Yeah.
So I think from having studied other people and feeling this doesn't feel right is the one thing that I've just always instinctively based my questions on. I want to look you in the eye. I want to understand what you're saying. And if we need to ask a follow-up, great, or go down another path. But then I do have my list of questions there if I want to glance down just real quickly and change the subject. Because, I mean, we do have to get on to certain things that everybody wants to talk about and the fans want to hear about. But yeah, I never could stand that. It always made me feel so uncomfortable if somebody was interviewing me and asked me a question and then didn't even listen. They're just down there.
Yeah. It exactly the same thing happened for me. Um, in exactly how you're saying it. You know, I conducted interviews and I was part of some interviews. I worked with Dancing with the Stars and some other big companies and did some wonderful things. And I was around folks where I would not be the face, but I would be near the face. And so I'd be watching what was going on, and I would see these interviews that, or things happen, and just go, what? Like, that's so impersonal. And it was the impersonal factor that got me. And as you know intimately, and as I'm sure you could speak to, and actually I would ask you here, once a star or a subject feels comfortable, the conversation is 100 times easier than if they feel like they're being asked.
Amen. In fact, one thing I can tell you about, one quick experience that solidified in my mind that I was on the right track for my style. I had the opportunity, Mel Tillis was doing, he was an actor and he was
Mhm.
doing a television show. He was doing a Western. And I got to go on the set of this Western, and in a break in one of his scenes, he was all in this cowboy outfit. We got to do an interview, and we sat down there, and maybe 15, 20 minutes, we did an interview and just talked. And after it was over, he looked at me and he says, "You didn't look down at your notes once." And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if he thought that was bad or good or whatever. He goes,
Yeah, yeah.
"No," and he was very complimentary. He goes, "I like that, was just so different. That was so much more fun." So I really thank Mel Tillis, rest his soul, to this day for making that comment, because it did help me understand that's what I need to do.
I think it's the difference between having a conversation with someone and grilling someone. It is kind of how I've always viewed it. You know, you and I can sit and chat, and we don't need notes and we don't need things written down, and we're just talking, and we can go in a dozen different directions,
Right.
and this interview can be all about the stars you've interviewed. It can be all about your professional career, or it can be all about Lorianne or Lorraine. It can be about your kitchen. It can be about opera. It could, right? We just take it
But
where
there
it
are
goes.
a few things that I would like to know about you.
Oh, yeah. This beard, yes.
I would like to know. Hey, listen, I like the beard. I like the beard. What was your reason for growing it?
I have a very simple saying when it comes to my beard, and people ask, and this is the truth. My wife loves a beard, and I love my wife. So,
Oh,
yeah, she
goodness.
likes it. She loves it. I'll be honest. We were talking about this before. Letterman has an incredible beard right now. David Letterman. For all you fans watching, if you haven't seen David Letterman's beard, go check it out. This is not TV version Letterman. Yeah, it's burly. Like, this thing is big and white, and it's beautiful. It's just a fabulous beard. And he was being interviewed and by Willie Geist, and Willie said, "What's with the beard?" And he said, "I shaved every day. I got tired of shaving. I don't have to shave anymore. I don't want to." And sometimes that's what it comes down to. I just don't want to. And
I have a little tip for you.
please.
Just the guy right now with the best beard in country music is a fairly newcomer. He's had some hits. Jordan Davis. His beard, it's not bushy, but it's very long and beautiful.
Yeah.
So a few months ago, he showed up to do an interview with us, and he says, the first thing he says, "I'm going to say it before you do. I realize my beard is shiny." It was literally glistening like a Christmas ornament.
Yeah.
What happened was he wanted to be on time to our interview, and so he was, in the bathroom he shares with his wife, and he was just grabbing these products and grooming it. He accidentally grabbed some hair gloss that his wife
Oh,
and just put it all over this beard. So just be careful when you have Brittany's products next to yours.
if I can eventually look like Golden from the Oak Ridge Boys, then life is good. That's
Oh,
my
doesn't he look spectacular?
oh,
Oh,
it's a
oh my
beautiful,
God.
it's a beautiful man. I digress. We're going a lot of directions here. So for those people that are watching that are very, very curious about you professionally, let's talk a little bit about how Crook and Chase comes to be.
Crook and Chase came to be completely by accident. As you can see, a lot of my life is by accident. I
Happy
wish
accidents.
I wish I'd been smart enough to think of all of this. But yeah, so I've told you about the show I had in Wichita Falls, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before I was even there a year, Channel 2, the ABC affiliate, called me and wanted to know if I would like to come back home and do a show for them. Of course, my whole family is here. So I had my own show on the ABC affiliate, and a guy whose name is Charlie Chase. Everybody knows him now. I used to listen to him on radio when I was in high school, but he also had his own show on the NBC affiliate here in Nashville. So this producer named Jim Owens, who did a lot of big country music productions from the Opry House and from all over the country, actually. Jim Owens was here in Nashville, and he was watching my show, and then he'd click over and he'd watch Charlie's show. None of us had ever met, but this is his story, he claims. And he thought to himself, Entertainment Tonight is a pretty hot show. They don't cover country music very well. And this girl, Lorianne, and this guy, Charlie Chase, I think they might go together. So Jim Owens called us. We met out at the Opryland Hotel for drinks in one of the lounges there. And Jim presented this idea. Would you like to come together as hosts and do some kind of a show? And literally from that day, all of us for over 35 years, we have all been together doing television and radio shows. And I'm thinking about 3 years after that first meeting, Jim Owens married me. And his joke is...
You married Jim Owens.
I married Jim Owens.
Yeah.
And Jim Owens' little joke is that if he could have, he would have married Charlie Chase too.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
So, not going to happen. But
35 years.
Isn't that just insane? 35
successful years too. I mean, really well run, well produced, wonderful years.
Amen. It's a blessing, and we work very hard too. I mean, you can't, as you well know, nobody.
Yeah. You don't just show up.
Yeah, nobody in any business can just kind of hang around and say, "Oh, I've been here 30 years. Just, here I am." No, you have to keep working hard.
And then you had Celebrity Kitchen in there for what, 6, 7 seasons?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I did that as just a fun sidebar. And I was surprised because I love to cook, and I knew a lot of the country stars did too.
Yeah.
I had no idea that many would want to come on the show. But golly, we did several hundred of those shows. It was really fun.
What created your love of cooking? I know you love it, and I know it's something we've talked about before. And obviously, you're a big part of when we do the cooking shows on board and on the country music cruise and whatnot. What fostered your love for it?
A couple of things. First of all, I was always a tomboy. And as I was growing up, I wanted to be outside playing football with the neighborhood boys, riding my bicycle, climbing trees. My mom would call me in. She wanted me to stand by her because she's a great cook and learn these recipes. Never was interested. So she let me be me. She let me be one of the boys for a while.
Good job, Mom.
Yeah. So once I got married, I thought, you know what? I need to be serious about running a household. I should actually be able to cook my husband a meal. and plus, I got very health conscious. And, even if you go to the nicest restaurants, things can still be kind of greasy or maybe not the best.
Sure.
So for health reasons and for wanting to be a good wife, I just started trying, had a lot of mistakes that went into the garden. But finally got good at it, and I really love it. I take online. I'm in the middle of an online class right now.
I think everybody's in the middle of some level of online class for something at this moment. What are you taking? What's your class online?
This class, it's called Forks Over Knives. And what that means is instead of being all about, meat and animal products, it's all about cooking with vegetables.
Are you vegetarian? Are you any type of...
I would love to be, because I love animals and not eating them. but I just love a good steak, and I like some salmon.
Gotta weigh that out.
Lobster, and see there's two forces fighting against me. So that's why I'm taking thus the course I'm taking.
Got it.
I'm trying to force the vegetables over the edge in my life.
Yeah. And when you started down this cooking path some years ago, what was your first real triumph? What meal was it that you conquered and you thought, this is the first arrow in my quiver. I can nail this now.
That's never happened.
Well, what do you feel most effective at? How about that?
I'm waiting for that moment that you
Yeah,
just
right.
see. Not surprisingly, okay, I make really great salads because they are this big.
Yeah.
I've got bowls this big. I just put everything in them. They're just, my husband loves them. They're fabulous. But I make a fabulous beef stroganoff.
Mm,
I really do.
mm.
What else am I very good at? You know, I can make lasagna, but there are so many people that make fabulous
Yeah.
lasagna. I'm not going to brag about that. Not at all. I'm good at pasta stuff. I make a great Cajun. Let's see, it's a Cajun cream sauce salmon fettuccine.
Wow.
Yeah, that's really good. My husband and I eat that a lot.
You said you learned to cook to get on the healthier side of things. The Cajun creamy doesn't sound like it's trending down that path.
See what I'm telling you? No, it's like good and evil inside.
Yeah.
It's constant.
What about sweet stuff? Do you like to bake and get into the sweeter stuff?
You know, I'm not a big sweets person. Not sure. Now, I do like a good dark chocolate bar, just plain chocolate. I have tried, because I've tried to be a good Southern wife. My husband loves a good old Southern biscuit. Have never made a good one in my life, ever. I don't know. They're hard. They're
the opposite of what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
not good. So, in fact, one time I was cooking with the great Alison Krauss. She made the casserole, like a big broccoli cheese casserole, and I made the biscuits. And she held the thing up, and she was going, "Oh, it's a brooch," and she wore it. She
wore your biscuit as a brooch.
Wore my biscuit for the show,
and it held up. Yeah.
So yeah, it's hit or miss with me, Jason.
I hate to say it, but some biscuits should be bought. Just some people should just buy biscuits, and it's okay.
Amen, sir. Yes.
So if you are making a meal, let's say it the way, what's the next meal you're going to make? Is it going to be tonight, tomorrow? What's your next planned, not just throw together, but do you have a planned meal in your head coming up soon?
I do. In my refrigerator, I have, and they have to be bone-in. I do have bone-in chicken thighs because, you know why they have to be bone-in?
Please tell me.
Because the bone, when you're cooking it, actually releases flavor that you won't get if the bone is not in there. So I'm planning to make a barbecue chicken for my husband. We just love either mashed potatoes or just a plain old baked potato and load it up with things. And one thing I'm great at making is some good old Southern collard greens. I'm making collard greens.
I love collard greens.
So that's a nice, good Southern meal, isn't it? Barbecue.
Yeah.
Collard
greens. We've started, my wife, Brittany, who you know very well, she is a wonderful cook as well. And I'm terrible. I dabble, but I'm not good. I make an effort. That's how I make an effort. And one of the things it's very simple that we've started doing, and we call them potato-ritos. And they are, so we take baked potatoes, you bake them like normal in the oven. And once they get to done, you open them up like you would a normal baked potato, and you just eat the insides or scoop out the insides, and then you fill them with whatever you want. It's a loaded skin basically, but we do it like a burrito. So you might do chicken or shrimp, you might do, all these different, fixins or whatever you want. And then we create basically a potato-rito.
That is brilliant.
They're wonderful. We love them.
Well, because, because I'm into nutrition too. I have a degree in nutrition too. And the potato skins are the most nutritious part.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
You know how healthy Brittany is. And so, yeah, there's only so many things I can get away with. And yeah, so potato-ritos are one of my go-tos. Love
Wow.
them.
What is the best? So I'm going to try this because I
Hmm.
have taters, as we say in the South, taters. I have taters in there now. So if I do this tonight, what's the best thing, in your opinion, I should fill it with?
Well, if you're doing a barbecue chicken as it is, I mean, you could even do whatever it is you would normally do your barbecue chicken with. So basically, you take your barbecue chicken, you strip a little bit of it off, and once you've eaten or redone the insides of your baked potato, then you put some of your barbecue chicken in there. You put maybe a light sprinkling of some type of cheese, but a light sprinkling, really, really light because it's barbecue. Little sour cream or something in there. You really treat it like a burrito.
Love that idea. Well,
They're
and
fun.
let me tell you something interesting. Since we are on this stay-at-home thing going on,
Yeah.
we only go to, well, I do myself. I go to the grocery store maybe once every week or 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
you start running out of ingredients. Yeah. So I'm having to improvise, but it's turning out pretty well. I had made some tacos and I had a filling that had black beans and corn and all of this. And I had run out of lettuce, but I had some coleslaw left over that I had made.
Hmm.
So I put coleslaw on top of the tacos and it was
Fabulous.
fabulous.
Yeah.
It was really good.
You stumble into some good stuff when you don't mean to, right?
Amen. It's good.
You said you love animals. How many do you have some pets? Do you have some creatures living around the house?
Interesting you should mention that at this moment. I don't know if you heard that, but there is a
I
kitty
heard a
cat.
bang just a second ago. Yeah.
Yeah, that is my cat outside who is very upset that I'm not letting her in. And
Yeah.
she literally jumped on the window with her claws, trying to get.
Mom, mom. Yeah.
That's what that bang was. You heard me go, oh my gosh. That's
I saw you kept kind of, you were like, oh, okay. Yeah.
no, she's very demanding. Very, like the minute I get up in the morning, she is standing in the kitchen looking up at me
Yeah.
and meowing as loud as she can because she's hungry.
It's breakfast time, mother. It's breakfast time.
It's like,
Is
Mom,
that
wake up.
yeah, you have one cat right now? Is that what you got going on?
Yes, and we do it all rescue cats, all yes, and we used to have five,
That's a lot of
and
cats.
the other four, gosh, got up into like 18, 19, 20
Wow.
old, and this is one of my newer ones. She's five, and very
18.
sassy, as you can tell.
Well, yeah. Cats making it to 18, 19, 20 is not unheard of. I mean, cats have a pretty good life, but they have to have a pretty good life to make it to 18, 19, 20, especially rescues. So that's awesome. That you must be obviously a wonderful cat mother.
Well, I try very hard, and we have a nice little yard so they can go out and climb trees and do things, but I do keep them safe and indoors at night.
No dogs, no fish, no iguanas.
No, but I tell you, this time of year, we do have, let's see, we have skunks. They're not my pets, but we have groundhogs. What else do we have around here? We have to be careful because we have red fox running around.
Yeah.
That's why I keep them in at night. We have possums and raccoons.
I tell you what, raccoons are feisty. People don't recognize how feisty raccoons can get. Everyone thinks them as just cute little trash pandas. They're not. They're quite aggressive. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and let me tell you, raccoons are one of the next. They're lovely, but in terms of their aggression, they're feisty. That's a feisty creature.
Yeah, I have to be very careful. I learned long ago I can't feed the cats outside
Yeah,
because all of a sudden the animals are around, especially raccoons.
skunks,
And
raccoons,
I've had
possum.
raccoons literally, this was years ago, but they would eat the remnants of the cat food and they would want more and they knew it was on the other side of the door. So just like my cat just did, the raccoons would put their paws up and try to get in the
Yeah,
house to get more food. Yeah, it's so scary.
they're a feisty lot, I tell you. With your love of animals, have you ever thought of or done any livestock? Any having larger animals around?
Oh my gosh, I would not know what to do. That to me, oh my goodness, that is a talent
It's a
in and
task.
itself. Yes, I think you have to know so much about horses.
Yeah.
My husband's daughter from another marriage, she loves horses and she's had horses for quite a while. And I see what she has to go through
Yeah.
to feeding and the vets, and you have to work them out and keep them warm and have blankets in the winter. And oh my goodness, I don't know that I would have what it takes. That's a whole other level.
We grew up, I'm an only child, but I was raised on 40 acres in the middle of the woods, no running water, no electricity, nothing. And I was there till I was 14, and we had horses. We didn't have cows. We had horses, goats, chickens, turkeys, the pigs, the basics. And it's, you learn a lot as a kid growing up on a farm. Yeah, because you learn a lot of responsibility quick. You learn how to take care of things because it was a farm family. So it was, to your point, it was very much, well, if you don't water and feed and warm and run and trot and da 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 da, things pass, things get sick, things can die. When I say things, I mean your animals, like these people, these creatures you love to death, and it's the last thing in the world you need. And I tell you what, you learn some responsibility early.
And that reminds me of the conversation that I just had on All Access Pass with Randy Owen on this past cruise.
Mm-hmm.
He breeds cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about the fact that you have to know, all about the animal sciences. You have to understand about biology. In fact, I think it was his daughter, he said, and her husband, they went to school to get degrees in this.
Yeah.
So they could operate, on this big ranch level. So, and these are things that, people who grew up like you, I mean, this by osmosis. It probably seems like part of your life, but these are things that have to be studied and understood that you just know by heart.
Yeah. It's you learn the hard way. Sometimes, growing up on a farm, you don't necessarily learn the easy way. You learn the hard way. And some of it's, I hate to say this out loud, there's some trial and error to it. When you live that far away, if you live next to a veterinarian, if you live next to things, and I'm not trying to get morbid, but you learn the hard way in terms of how to raise animals and how to take care of some things and what can and can't be eaten, and what they'll try to do to themselves if they're stressed. And oh my gosh, there's a million. It's an unbelievable array of pitfalls.
It's its own world, its own science, which brings me to this. This is why I have always had such a respect for people, our farmers, our ranchers here in America. Because think about it, without them and their knowledge and being able to get around all of these obstacles that just hit every day, whether it's Mother Nature or whatever, there's just so much to know. My highest respect goes to the people of this country and around the world that feed the rest of us.
Amen. Amen to that. So I know I've kept you for about an hour here, and I don't want to keep you all day, though I feel like we could just keep chatting. Obviously, we're all going through a little something strange right now with this pandemic across the world, and it's hit some communities very, very hard. Obviously, country community's been hit with it. How are you and yours feeling, and how are you getting through?
You know what? We're doing okay. As you know, we have lost a couple of our country stars. Joe Diffie, who
he was just with us.
Yeah, just a year ago. We were having dinner with him on the cruise a couple of times and sharing a glass of wine and reminiscing about the 90s country music. Just completely shocked. What we have heard and understood is that he was, diagnosed having some trouble, and literally it hit him so hard. 2 days later, he had passed. Of course, John Prine, who had been on our shows a few times over the years, he had become a big member of our community here in Nashville. So, and the amazing thing about John Prine is, here's a man who he had throat cancer and he beat it. He had had lung cancer and beat it. He had just fairly recently had hip surgery and got through that. And after all that, and toughing all that out is the virus that takes him down. So it's been really tragic. And I guess part of the heartbreak of all of this is that as the community that we are, when someone in our country music family passes, we go to the Ryman or the Opry House, and we have an enormous celebration of life, and we all get together. And in this day and time, we have not been able to give
Yeah.
Josephine and John Prine a send off like that. And so that's heartbreaking that, and we will do it. We will
I
do
was
it.
going to say the beauty is we will, obviously, you
Yeah,
will.
absolutely. Absolutely. So getting past that, just as far as, my personal situation here at the house, we're doing great. At the office, we have reconfigured our entire office complex and our studios so that, and our work hours. So those of us who
Yeah.
need to get together, we're distancing and getting our shows done. So knock on wood, we haven't hit an obstacle yet.
And you're such a positive, wonderful, and warm person and personality. What would you share with all the folks watching that are fighting, that are struggling a little bit, being locked away, and it's tough to see an end to some of these things, whether they're country music fans or country music cruise fans or just folks in general that have stumbled across our interview here. Any message you'd like to say?
Well, I am going to steal this from several of the country music stars that we have interviewed from a distance the past couple of weeks. So many of them have said the same thing that I believe as well in my heart, that if you're trying to find, I mean, obviously we all grieve for the families, so many thousands and thousands of families who have lost a loved one. And we take that very much to heart and we grieve with them. But you always in life have to look for something positive, just as you're asking, some silver lining. And from what I've gleaned from the stars that I've talked to the past few weeks, it's that they are saying, wow, what an awakening, slowing down. It makes you realize how fast we're going in the world. And it's forcing all of us, I hope, to realize that there are a lot of very simple, wonderful things that we can notice more in life, that we can be grateful for in life. And many of them have said, even, once this is over, this pandemic, and we know it will be, that they are going to live their lives a little differently. Maybe they won't do 200 shows a year. Maybe they'll do 150 so that
Yeah.
they can be with their families more. So just a time to reflect and, be proud we live in this country and of all the blessings that we have, even when things are out of our control and they're not going exactly as we would like them to go.
That's wonderful, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's important that I was talking to someone the other day that was saying something similar, and they had said, what I've learned most in this time, and kind of what I've seen, and I've seen this myself, and talking to friends and talking to stars and some wonderful personalities. We tell ourselves all the time, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. Well, right now, everyone has time. And so right now, what everyone is realizing is the old I don't have time is not real. We say I don't have time, but now we have time and we're still not doing some of those things.
Ah,
So we say, I don't have time to do that. I'd work out more, but I don't have time. Are you working out more now? Are you cooking more now? Are you taking a cooking class now that you have time? Are you doing the things that you've fallen back on the I don't have time excuse for so long? And I was reading something that said, if you want to make a difference in your life and you want to say things differently, don't say, I don't have time, or I didn't get to it because I didn't have time. Say, I didn't prioritize.
right.
Why did you not do that? I didn't prioritize it. I had time. There's 24 hours today. I had time. I chose to do other, and it's not saying it was wrongly prioritized. It's just saying it didn't fit the priority chain. Only
Right.
you know what that priority chain is, but no,
Right.
saying I didn't prioritize versus I didn't have time. To
Mhm.
your point about doing 200 concerts a year over a 2-week vacation with your family, you had time. You just prioritized other things.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Yeah, and my mom used to say that a lot. She used to say, you find time for the things that you really want to do.
yeah,
So, yeah, just look into your heart of hearts. If you didn't do something, what was the reason for that? It's like you said, it may not be good or bad, or you don't have to
yeah,
punish yourself or
yeah.
be shamed by it or anything, but it's kind of an interesting, it's an interesting look inside yourself.
Yeah. Well, speaking of heart of hearts, I love you with my heart of hearts, and I truly appreciate you being here and taking this time with us. Uh, as always, you're just one of my favorite people ever, and I really do appreciate you giving us this time.
Well, likewise, Mr. Jason Venner, and I cannot wait till we are back together again. This has really been fun. It's just a bright spot in my whole month.
Well, you are fabulous, and I hope that we can brighten a lot of people's whole months with this chat. You've given us a lot of wonderful insights, and you've shared a lot about yourself and your background that people may or may not have known. And I know that's personal, and that's it's much appreciated and it's noted. So.
Well, that was fun. It was kind of nice, because I'm usually the one asking questions.
Yeah.
Go back and forth with you was really fun and a real blessing to get to do this.
Well, I adore you and thank you so much. And to all of our country music crews, country music, and Star Vista Live fans out there, or other fans that have just tuned in and found this interview here, we do truly appreciate you. Thank you for watching and having a little bit of fun with us. One more time, she is a world-renowned television and radio personality, award-winning, matter of fact, and fabulous cook, apparently. Lover of cats and all things Russian-speaking CIA double agent that she is, the fabulous Lorianne Crook. I appreciate you and I adore you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well. Mwah.
All right, everybody out there, we'll see you later. Keep tuned to this channel. More content coming soon. I'm your virtual cruise host, Jason. Have a wonderful day, friends. We'll see you around.